What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Turner here with another episode of the No Stress Midwest podcast. Today's episode, we are very lucky to be joined by Miss Shea Groom of the Houston Dash. Shea, how are you doing?
I am good. Happy to be here.
I see you've got the new logo stuff. The Houston Dash and the Dynamo kind of went through a rebranding. You can talk about it a bit. I love it. So what was it like?
Yeah, it's huge. I think just for this new era, obviously we're coming fresh off a Challenge Cup win and making our mark on the NWSL and I think the Dynamo recognized that and that there was just opportunity to connect the whole community of Houston by this one club mentality rather than Dynamo and Dash. Just trying to be Houston's club, not two soccer teams that are in Houston. And a lot of thought went into the new badges, and we were briefed on it, and it was super cool just how they incorporated the Bayou, NASA, and a few other things that are very true to Houston. So I'm excited. I just got here this year, but feels like I've been home for a while now. So it's definitely exciting and excited for what's to come.
That's dope. Yeah, before we hopped on, I was on Instagram, and one of the soccer pages I saw, James Harden is like hugging someone on the Houston Dash. I don't remember who it was, but because I know he's a part owner of. Is it both clubs or is it just the Dynamo, or are they all under
Yeah,
one?
they're all under one organization.
Awesome.
Yeah, we got to do a photo shoot with James, and he was super cool. So
Awesome.
it was
Is the beard as big as it looks on TV?
I don't remember it. I don't feel like it was,
Okay.
but
All right. All right.
I
Well,
also
that's if you
like
don't remember it, then
yeah, and
that's a
it
good
probably
sign.
wasn't.
Um, all right. So Shay, we've kind of gone into your Houston Dash time a bit, but I want to rewind it back a bit. Um, I'll be honest with you, and I know you're not going to remember this story. But when I first moved here, maybe like one of my first 2 or 3 years, there was an award ceremony at Children's Mercy, and you won an award for like Player of the Year or something. Maybe it was with FCKC or Female Athlete of the Year, something like that. Or you were there, and the high school I was at, our coach was up for an award. So I sat next or at the table with you, and I remember hearing your name before I met you then. And I was like, oh shoot, this is this Shea Groom girl everyone keeps talking about. But then like I was so afraid to talk to you because I've heard your name so much. So I was nervous. Um, but I wanted to tell you that story while we were on this podcast that I remember that time, first time I met Shay, and it was everything that you would imagine, people. Everything. Uh but yeah, so you're from KC, Liberty to be exact. You're local, so I'm really excited to have you on. A lot of, like I said, a lot of people here, uh, they love you, and so you had a crazy impact, either from being from KC or your time here. So you're gonna have a lot of listens. I already know. But let's get started. Shay, how did you get involved with soccer? Who were some of your early influences? Did you know that you were going to be a pro player when when you first started? Kind of talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I did not grow up in a soccer household whatsoever. My dad was a high school football coach for over 30 years and a college basketball referee. So we had no idea about soccer as our family. I played 3 sports in high school, even more growing up. I think I remember a time where it was like, my mom was like, you need to choose between playing soccer and competitive like rodeo, like horseback riding. And
Okay.
I was like, okay, well, I soccer's like more fun, I think, because my friends are there. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
but
that.
yeah, but I loved it all and never really expected obviously the journey to take me where I never grew up dreaming of being a professional soccer player. I played it because my sister played it, and I think about the age of 12, one of the coaches was like, looked at my dad and was like, she's really good. You need to like invest in this a
You need to
little.
do something with this.
Yeah. And so I tried out for like some more competitive teams
Yeah.
and ended up, you know, settling with a team called KCFC at the time. Hugh Williams ran the club with a bunch of other foreign guys coaching, and you know, he started a few clubs since. But now that club ultimately absorbed into Sporting Kansas City,
Yeah.
and was monumental in my career, and you know, was able to I think really start a massive wave of soccer in the Kansas City area, and you know, that team that I played on was incredible. There was girls that went to, I think most of us, probably 90% of the team went to Division I schools. So we
Okay.
won a national championship with that team, and played the first year of ECNL, which has obviously made its mark in youth soccer now.
Yeah.
So you know, it's been cool to kind of see it grow in the way that it has, and to have been a part of it at such an early stage. And obviously went on to play at Texas A&M, and then decided I wanted to be a pro pretty late in that career. So
Right.
yeah, to speak to that, I wasn't ever growing up wanting to be a professional soccer player, but I would not trade it for the world now.
So you mentioned a few things, and Hugh Williams is the name you mentioned, he was actually at that award thing as well. Um, but he is someone that I think is very big in the Kansas City landscape of youth sports, especially youth soccer, because he's been a part of so many different clubs, right? It's like he gets one up, a new one's there, and it gets going, and then he's off to another one, and then he's starting another club, or he's running camp. So would you credit a lot of your maybe love of the game or your talent, anything like that, to Hugh or his coaching staff while your time being at the club?
Oh yeah, I think Hugh was the starting point, and just, I mean, I have to give most of the credit to him. I think he identified me as a player to begin with,
Mm,
and then you know, told me that I was good. But I think what made him different is he figured out how to unlock it for me. A funny story that I'm sure a lot of the listeners will maybe enjoy was he would have like ways to motivate me and just kind of get me to that next level
yeah.
every game. And so one of the games, the team would think it's so funny, but like I believed in everything that he said. And so one time he was like, that girl on the other team said that you were ugly and that you weren't good at soccer. And it was just like, I saw red, you know?
No, she
Like,
didn't.
yeah.
Oh
It
man,
was
then
like
it was
the
game
end.
over. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's the stuff that he would do, or you know, he always held me to the highest expectation, and as hard as I think it was growing up, I think it made me mature at a young age, and kind of have that fighting mentality. I definitely am not scared of fitness because of Hugh Williams. So he
Uh,
definitely instilled some of the things that I still carry with me, and are part of my identity and mine as a player.
yeah. Okay, so we've kind of talked about some club time. You were at Liberty High School, and man, I feel like a broken record saying this, because I said it to your teammate Megan Kelly. I was reading her high school stuff, and every player, you all are some like badass high school players, because the accolades that you've picked up is ridiculous. So Shea, while she was at Liberty, she won a state championship. Um, and I mean, look at that, two state championships. That's my fault. I'm messing up already. But you were Missouri Player of the Year. You were Gatorade Missouri Player of the Year in 2010 and 11. NSCAA All American and NSCAA State Player in 2010 and 11. And then finally, I saw your ESPN Rise All American. So that's quite a bit of success it seems you had while in high school. What do you think led to that? Was it a proper upbringing of club soccer that just had you leaps and bounds above everyone? Was it a solid team? Was it coaching? Was it what was it that just made it click for you?
Yeah, it seems like I always am a part of such a special class, I'll say at A&M as well, but also at Liberty. I mean, I think she's probably 8 or 9 of us again went and played Division One or no, probably Division One soccer.
Right.
So it was an insane group to have on a high school team.
Yeah.
I think we had all also grown up playing in Kansas City together. A lot of us, are carpooling hours to club training over in Kansas.
Hmm.
And spent so much time together growing up that we already kind of had that chemistry. And then that career because I think it's such a different challenge than playing club soccer.
Um,
Um, because there's the social aspect. You're going to school with these people, and I think just from a leadership standpoint, it really allowed me to grow. But we had such a special team, and in those junior and senior years, I think once that freshman class kind of matured, we were just able to take over and finally win
wreak
a state
havoc, wreak
championship.
havoc on the state of Missouri in
Yes.
girls soccer. So 8 or 9 people playing Division One on one team, college soccer is phenomenal. Division One club soccer, 8 or 9 people playing, on one team. That's great. So that sounds like a phenomenal group of players. And you mentioned with your club side and with your high school side, you're obviously around a lot of talented players. Um, any of them that you're still going up against in the NWSL
From my youth or college?
from let's say from your youth, from club and high school?
Yeah, I started off my career with one of our other local legends, I guess, Casey Clark in Liberty, and she played a
Mhm.
little bit with me at FC Kansas City, and it's been fun now. On the Dash, we have about 5
Yep.
Kansas City players,
Yep.
or 4, maybe. Sorry, it's me, Cece Kaiser, but she's now just departed to Louisville, sadly, in the expansion draft. Haley Hansen, Megan Kelly, and then I spent a year last year with one of my best friends, JC Johnson, who played at Lee Summit West. So yeah, definitely a lot of Kansas City products. I'm actually about ready to come home a little bit for the holidays, and it's so fun. Hugh gets a big group of us together to train, and look a little different this year, but good Kansas City products in there. Addison Merrick now plays in NWSL as well.
Yep.
Um, Dorian Bailey, gosh, so
The list
it's always
goes
fun to get.
on. The list
Yeah,
goes on. Yeah.
it's a special place.
Yeah, Addie was telling me about that actually. So I trained her um while she's here, and she was saying that she had the pickup game with Hugh the
Yeah,
other day, and she was bragging, not bragging, but talking about all the people that were there, both professional and college. So that's good that he still does something for all of you to play. So quick question then before we get to college. If DA was around while you were there, would you have made the move to DA or would you have stayed with high school?
gosh, it's so hard. I've had a lot of parents come to me and ask, and I think it's really about what's best for the player. I think for me, I needed to play the other sports.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to just develop as an athlete. And I think for me, I always needed that change of pace. I loved basketball so much.
Yeah.
um, and then I also ran track a couple years. But, I think now, obviously, looking back at my career and, I could have been leaps and bounds ahead if I had just solely focused on soccer as well. So I think there's pros and cons to it. And it's kind of about it's a tough decision to make at that age.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And it's a lot of pressure that
yeah,
gets put on these kids, 14, 13 years old to pick to play in high school. And then in just 4 more years, the pressure of college and all
yeah.
of that. And it's tough. I agree. It's a lot of pressure we put on these players and we expect them to be professionals at the
Yeah.
age of 13,
Yeah.
right? And
It's tough. It's just not, I don't think it translates as well as the men's side does, maybe with academies and, how they go straight to playing pro sometimes. Most girls are going to go to college to play soccer. So it's definitely an interesting way to do it. And probably my advice, if someone really couldn't decide, was, I've had a couple girls play for a couple years and then, find the school that they're going to go to and then decide to go back and play a year, maybe two of high school. So there's definitely give and take, but I probably couldn't have done it. I would have had to have my basketball.
Yeah, and that's fair, and that's a very big thing that's coming up now. Granted, DA's folded, and there's this GA where I think they just picked the next letter in line, and they can play high school, but there's limits, or like they can, in the middle of the high school season, there's club tournaments that they can. I don't know. It's yeah, it's a lot. But okay, so you went on to Texas A&M, became an Aggie. Now, what did you think what do you think helped get you to that level, both on a recruiting standpoint, like being seen, and then on a preparation standpoint, as far as physically, mentally, emotionally? High school or club, or is it a mix of both?
Hugh Williams, no doubt. I honestly, I will kick myself giving him this much praise because I'll never hear the end of it. But no, honestly, I don't, when people say like, oh, did you make a highlight video and send out email? Like, I didn't do one thing. Like, he advocated on me from day one. And thankfully we did play in the NWSL or the ECNL, and we're getting a lot of exposure, I think, early on, where some clubs probably weren't. But for a small Kansas team, he made sure to put us in those positions. So I've always said your club coach can make or break you, and mine was such an integral part of my career. And then I'll never forget the summers, before we left for college or preparing for nationals. I mean, some of those grueling trainings that he'd be like, show up at the track, don't bring your ball, kind of thing. So I think
those are always the practices you look forward to the most.
Yeah.
Right? When
and also, exactly. And I'll tell you this story too. I even showed up to A&M and did great my summer, kind of preparing for that first season. I went in a little bit early and was passing everything. I've always been a fit kid, but it came time for the first fitness test of the year, and hottest summer in Texas still to date. But we ran a fitness test at 10 a.m. and it was a gut check, and I completely, my body like shut down, passed out. Anyways, called Hugh, cried, said I could never make it at this level or whatever, and was ready to like throw in the towel. And he was like, look, I've been with you this long. This isn't going to happen. The coaches are probably laughing at you because you probably went out too hard to begin with. But so it's just funny because, some people look at my career or, hear my name and think it all went smoothly and perfect. But everyone fails and everyone kind of has those kind of stories. So,
yeah. No, and I think it's important that you talk about them and understand that, failures, whatever, losing, however you want to put it, they're all learning experiences, and you learned, I'm sure, a lot from that first 10 a.m. conditioning session at A.M. for you. Like, oh, all right, I got to get my stuff together. I don't, I'm not as in shape as I thought I was. I'm not as this or that. But to understand that, and then to look back and say, this is what it prepared me for, right? It's everything happens for a reason. So that's good. I'm glad you brought up that story, because people listening, I'm sure, are like, man, Shea's just been so good at everything. How does she do that? But yeah, so you had a good time at A&M. I saw your senior year, you recorded 16 goals, you had 7 assists, named SEC Offensive Player of the Year. So you kind of ended your senior year there with a bang. What do you think got you to that point from conditioning freshman year, 10 a.m. when your body passed out?
Yeah, I think, again, people don't know all the chapters of my story. And again, when you hear my name, it's just, oh, she's so great and blah, blah, blah. I mean, my college career was an absolute roller coaster, an absolute, a couple times should have quit, should never played soccer again. Like, So yeah, I failed that fitness test, first of all, not because I was unfit, but just because mentally, I think
Yep.
you just sometimes you're just not ready for that, and you try to be the hero on minute one. So it was humbling, and that was good, and made me work a lot harder. 10 games in, I basically shred my foot in half, and had a Liz Frank fracture, which required 2 surgeries and 9 months before I even probably stepped on a field again, much less a year before I was like feeling good. So that pretty much honestly absorbed my first 2 years. Was
Yeah.
I mean, you have to learn to walk again. It's basically like the ACL of your foot. It holds the whole thing together. They never see it in soccer, they say. Really only football, basketball injuries. So it was such a rare thing, but I think something that allowed me to step off the field and see it from a different perspective. It made me so hungry, and I think humble in a way that from that moment on, I was always going to take every moment for what it was, and never take it for granted, and soak up each opportunity I got to step on the field. So, still was able to watch my team win a Big 12 championship, and played out wide my sophomore year. But then I think that junior year, I got shifted into the midfield. Started playing the 10 for the first time. Phil Stevenson, my coach, was like, this is where I'm going to put you. And I think that you're going to be absolutely lights out, because you're going to get the ball. You're going to run at defenders, and they're not going to know what to do.
Right.
And I say that because it's funny now, because that's kind of like what I'm known for. And obviously I made the shift into the midfield this year, but so it took me a year to kind of figure that out junior year, but we had a really successful year, won back-to-back SEC championships. And then get to the senior year, and it's like, all right, I came to Texas A&M because you never made it to a Final Four, and I want to win a national championship. So that was the goal from minute one, and we set out to do that, and we made it to the Final Four, which was a huge accomplishment, and came up short of the ultimate goal. But I wanted to put Texas A&M on the map, and I wanted to be a part of a program that hadn't reached what I thought it could have reached. So I was happy with how it went, and I'm still super connected with the coaching staff and the girls. I'm getting ready to watch their SEC semifinal right after we get off here. So Texas A&M was a really special place for me, and obviously a place where I decided to be a pro, and really made me into the player that I am today.
So you've said it twice now, that was when you decided to become a pro. What was it? A moment? Was it something that happened? Was it one of the 16 goals that you scored? Was it the Final Four appearance? What was it that made you say, this is it, I'm doing it?
Yeah, it was funny. It wasn't even like I could be a pro, or I want to keep playing soccer. Like, I just remember I was at Orange Beach. We were playing the SEC tournament 2013, and the NWSL had just formed. They formed in 2012, but their first season was in 2013. And I was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then I looked at my academic advisor, and he was like, okay, well, you're not going to graduate in time. And I was like, yes, I am. So I remember I spent that whole tournament planning with them, and I spent a whole extra year basically in a summer, and finished an extra year of college in one summer, and graduated early, and then obviously got drafted back to my hometown, which was incredible. So I again never grew up playing professionally, but I think once I saw that there was a league that was going to do it, and I could be a part of it, I was sold.
You're in. So you say you're selected by the home team, FCKC. You're the 12th overall pick in 2015. So I've got to ask you, because I'm starting to get a kick out of hearing these. Talk to us about your draft day story. Were you at convention at the draft? Were you at home? Were you driving? Were you sleeping? What was going on? A student that's struggling a little bit with the hybrid and virtual learning and looking to get just a little more help academically? Or are you a parent that has a child who's struggling to keep that same level of discipline and rigor that they had in the classroom at home? If any of these apply to you, check out No Stress Midwest Education, an academic tutoring service where we offer both in-person and virtual tutoring. One of the things that separates us from others is that all of our tutors are board certified educators in Kansas and Missouri in a variety of specialty topics and familiar with the latest curriculum in school districts around the metro area. We are passionate about helping students achieve their goals in the classroom and also committed to helping students build the necessary skills and tools they will need in the future to succeed on their own. Our team follows the latest guidelines from the CDC. We require masks for all in-person tutoring to protect both the student and the tutor. Our tutors will either travel to your home or meet at a predetermined location to conduct all in-person tutoring sessions. All we need is a space for learning, and we're ready to go. At No Stress Midwest, we truly believe in developing the well-rounded student athlete. No Stress Midwest does not tell you what to think, but teaches you how to think. No Stress Midwest Education, an academic tutoring service. For more information, visit www.nostressmidwest.com/education.
I know there's a lot of good draft stories. Honestly, I've heard some really good ones over the year. I went because I was like, I don't want to miss this experience. I don't care if it's in a conference room.
Right.
You know, I know it's not the NFL draft or NBA draft, but like, I'm gonna be there
For sure.
So, yeah, I went and really didn't know how it was gonna go. I don't. If you've looked at my draft class, it's actually insane. I'll argue with anyone that we've had the best draft class so far with just the amount of, I mean, Morgan Bryant, Sam Mewis, Jaylene Hinkle, who just retired, Sophia Huerta, me, Danny Colaprico. I mean, the
people. That's without even thinking. Yeah, your name.
Abby Dahlkemper, Lynn Williams. I mean, it's half of the national team right now.
Right. So they are. So they were pretty decent. They were pretty decent, you could say. And still are good, actually.
Yeah, still are. Sarah Killian too. I mean, half of UCLA was drafted that year. Megan Oyster is on my team. So, yeah, it was an insane draft, to say the least. And so I didn't know where I would fall. I was hearing probably 8, somewhere around there. I was wanting Kansas City over anything, but they had traded away their first round pick. So Hugh and Vlatko were like, you're not coming here. I'm just letting you know that. Like, there's no way you're going to be around at 12. Just like, we'll do everything we can, but sorry. Right. So definitely thought when it came down to it, I was going to Boston, how it was shaking out. And then it was like, okay, you're going to Chicago. And then Roy Dames actually coached against me quite a few times as a youth player. And so we get a kick out of each other, just having watched the evolution of his career and how much he's yelled at me over the years as the opposition. But basically, he even came up to me after and was like, I'm glad I could send you home. And, they kind of did a, hey, let's handshake, give us our girl type of thing.
Right.
And he, followed through. But yeah, I mean, we could not believe it. So, I was sad. I was like, dang, like, I'm not going in the first round. And wait, why is no one picking me? Because then you're like, wait, what's happening? And then it's
right,
like,
wait a second. Yeah, it's like, whoa. Right, yeah. So, that's cool. Awesome. So, all right, so you go to FCKC or come here to FCKC. And your first year, you were named NWSL Rookie of the Year. On top of, I believe, them winning the NWSL championship that year. And I can remember watching that game. Because that year was Sporting, FCKC, and the Comets, I think the indoor team, all 3 won their respective cups that year. Yeah. And this was like 3 years after me being in KC, and I'm just like, dang, like KC is lit. I was like, oh man.
Soccer capital of the world.
Yeah, I was like, we're out here, bro. So your first year, how was that whole experience? What was it like playing in front of your friends, your family? Obviously, you had a very successful season. Well, just kind of talk to us about that. What was it like playing for Vlatko? being with Hugh again. Here, let's
Yeah.
hear it. What was year
I mean,
one?
it was insane. I mean, I learned so much that year. You know, I didn't come in and just be a starter.
Mm-hmm.
I was a kid. I was athletic enough to get away with a lot of stuff in college, and that translated well into the NWSL. But I realized at a very quickly that I had to get technically a lot better, and you know, the tactical part would come, but
Right.
that the speed of play and just you know, I missed out on a lot of that technical work growing up because it just really wasn't part of the game. It really wasn't what we were training as kids. You know,
Mhm.
I didn't know people were kicking balls up against the wall and
Right. You're like, well, who's
working on that.
Stacy,
Yeah,
and when the heck did she come up with all this stuff? Yeah. Why is Stacy
exactly.
so good? Yeah.
So I had a lot of things to learn, but I also was surrounded. I mean, that team,
Right. Yes.
Lauren
Nuts.
Holiday, Amy Rodriguez,
Ballers.
Heather Ortiz,
Ballers.
I mean,
Ballers.
Amy LaPelvet, Nicole Barnhart. Like I could go through. It was
Baller. Yeah. Person for
um,
person. It was. I mean, it was position for position. Yeah.
yeah, Erica Timrock. So it was actually a World Cup year as well. So I was still getting minutes, you know, when they were there. But then once they left for the World Cup, it was like, you know, we got to carry this team, and
Mm-hmm.
really started to come out of my shell, score a lot of goals, and you know, be a part of that team. The last game before the World Cup players came back after winning in 2015, I actually broke my foot.
Right.
So yeah, so 6 weeks out on that, and was able to make it back, you know, by the end of the season and get some minutes in that final. But you know, ended a little bit earlier than I would have liked to, but obviously, you know, still very successful for my rookie year, and I think set me in a good place because going into that off season, I wasn't tired. I was like really
You
hungry
were
to get better.
ready. Yeah.
And I remember I spent that off season in Richmond, Virginia, and I trained, I mean, every single day, twice a day. I was out with a headlamp in the driveway of the place that I was staying, doing extra touches, doing whatever I could do to just
Kicking
feel,
the ball up against the wall.
yeah, just a
Catching
little,
up with everything. Yeah.
yeah, catching up and relearning a lot of things that I missed out on. And
Yeah.
it was such a special off season for me because that's when I was like, you can make something of yourself and you want it. Like I can feel like it's enough to do it. Like you're finding ways to train with boys, and I was training with the strength coach at Richmond for men's basketball, and
Mm-hmm.
I was just absolutely loving it. So you know, that first year was again so special to me. Obviously hard with the injury, but we
Right.
won, and be a part of it, and to help that team when those players weren't there during the World Cup was obviously an integral and part in our playoff push as well. So
Right. So from there, I know the team relocated to Utah, and now Utah Royals FC. So can you kind of talk to us about what the process was like of being part of a team that was getting bought and sold to another state, like that's just in the middle of nowhere? What was it like relocating? What just kind of
yeah.
what was it like?
I mean, it was wild because it's like you get a call and you're like, okay, your team's folded, and you're like, what?
Yeah. What?
Yeah, like what's going on? And Boston was actually kind of going through the same thing that year, but we had been heard that Boston was going to be the team to go to
To
Utah.
Utah.
So,
Okay.
um, but it ended up being us. I think the scariest part was that they were refusing to sign Vladko, so it was like all of us were like up in the air. Whereas I think it would have been different if he was signed on, and you know, our whole team, it was still FCKC, but just
Right. Just over there. Yeah. So I
um,
didn't know that part. Okay. So
yeah,
they didn't want him as the big guy,
I
and
guess I guess not.
they're probably punching the air right now. But
Exactly.
oh well.
Yeah. So, you know, everyone was kind of up in the air, and, you know, we all had our talks with Laura Harvey, was ended up being the coach there. And, you know, my talk was great with her, and, you know, I actually just saw her at camp again. So, you know, I was ready to be a part of that team. And then obviously, you know, business happens sometimes,
Mhm.
and some teams want you, and I've been the bargaining chip in many of those trades. So I take it as a compliment, and being valuable in this league. And so, before I even made it to Utah, I was traded to Jersey.
Yeah.
But that was a wild year to like feel like you've been a part of 3 clubs in 1 year. It was like,
Yep.
I'm bought into Utah. And then it was like,
No,
I'm going to Jersey.
I'm bought into
So
Jersey. And then
Jersey,
right.
right.
So you were there in Jersey. Well, you were in Utah for not even a season. You get relocated and then you get traded there. So you were just in Jersey for 1 year, or how much time did you spend there?
Yeah, one year in
That one
Jersey.
season before Rain, right? Before you were picked up by Rain FC.
Yep, and
Yep.
then traded back to Reign with Flacco.
So was did Vlaco have a part in that? Do you think, or do you know, with
Yeah.
getting you there?
I mean, I called him the second I got traded to Jersey and said, please, can you get me?
Save me, help
Save
me,
me.
anything.
Yeah. Well, because too, and obviously this is a little insider info, I guess, but I not that I had the opportunity, but I had open conversations with Laura and Blacko, her saying, look, I know you've been with this coach for 3 years. And what people don't know is I've known Blacko since I was like 9 years old, and
Mhm.
he's just not as I think Hugh and him go hand in hand for me in
Yeah.
terms of how important they have been to my career and my life. They're part of my family, so she was very open and honest. Just wanting to know, like, look, do you want to go be with him and continue kind of what you guys have built,
Right.
or do you want to stay here? And Black and I had a conversation on, look, I think it's good to be coached by other coaches, and it's good to go out of your comfort zone and have a new challenge. And I think this might be, something that might be worthwhile. And so I had kind of made that commitment, but
Mhm.
that was to Laura. And so then when I didn't even know the next coach, I was like, okay,
All right.
please.
Yeah. Peace.
So he did try many times over that year, but again, that was a really hard year in Jersey, but so much learning experience and just maturity, and I think paved the way for me for women's sports. We had to put our foot down a lot of times, and in terms of this is not good enough for a standard,
Yeah.
and having to develop into a leadership role there. I kind of took those steps. So it was a huge part of my career too. But I was obviously so excited to get back playing with Flacco, and I knew that Rain was going to be a really great fit for me.
Yeah. And now so two things. Rain was when you were playing with JC, correct?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I interviewed her the other day. She's got a great story as well. So you know what I'm talking about, but I'm pulling for her and hoping that things work out with things. But with Vlatko, now this is a story that I assume is true. My friend told me this, but he played. So my friend played at Park,
Okay.
and Vlatko was used to coach at Park on the men's side.
Mhm.
And I guess at his time, at while he was there, Vlatko was like a third or fourth assistant. I mean, just low on the totem pole. And the guy, my friend told me that Vlatko, like they used to, the other coaches would like not talk trash on him, but like they didn't think he was good enough or he would ever amount to like being a quality coach. And now he's the national team coach. And when that got announced, my buddy who played under him told me that story. And it was just like, yo, I was so happy when I saw that he got named because all those coaches, man, screw them. They were all talking trash on him. So I've heard very good things about Vlatko from like everyone. I've met him once and he kind of caught me off guard at like the US soccer facility and I like turned around and he was there and they were doing the photo shoot like before the announcement. I like turned around and he was just like standing right there and I was like, "Oh, but he was super chill, shook my hand, said, how's it going, blah blah blah. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. I'm glad that it worked out that you were able to get back with him and fast forward a little bit, you were called into national team camp, first team this past one, and
Mhm.
you were reunited again. So how was that? How was being called into the first team camp? What was it like playing there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you continue with your professional career and that is the little soccer that I was getting to watch growing up was the national team. I was, going to these ODP trips. I remember my first idol that I really kind of, took after was Lauren Holiday, or Lauren Cheney at the time, but Lauren Holiday now. Because I think I was in Portugal or Holland or something for ODP, and we watched the US play live, and I was looking down the roster and it said their hometowns or whatever, and she was the only one from the Midwest, and so that kind of sparked a dream for me that I could I could be, if she could do it, I could do it,
Why
because
not?
yeah, why not? So it was always a dream of mine. I was getting called into the youth camps and things like
Hmm.
that all through my youth, but obviously make it the first team. My first time was 4 years ago. And then obviously to get back now after, I've had a couple tough years, and then to come to Houston and kind of have an awakening in a way. It's funny, I didn't set out this year probably with the lowest expectations and the lowest or the most simple goals. My goals this year were just to be happy and healthy. So to make it to the national team camp was, just an added bonus for me. And, it's always good to train at the highest level and get in with those girls. It's obviously an incredibly hard group to break into. And,
Yep.
obviously timing now, they're getting ready for an Olympics, and with COVID, there's just unfortunately not enough time to look at a lot of players. But had great conversations with Vladko, and he knows me as a player, so he knows what he's going to get.
Yeah.
And I know that at the end of the day he believes in me, and it's up to me to continue to put good NWSL seasons together, and put myself in a good position to play on that team one day. So totally enjoyed it. Was super excited, but also excited for a little time off now as well.
I was gonna say your season ended, with the NWSL, and obviously those last couple bubble games that you had were just kind of not going through the motions, but there was no, there were no points there to pick up. So you're getting to the end of your season, thinking you're gonna kick your feet up, take the cleats off for a bit. Then you get called into the national team camp. There's the quarantine that that has to take place going there, then leaving. So your season has just got extended another couple weeks. But I mean, to represent your country, and although it's just the camp, it's still, I'm sure, an awesome experience. So I'm pulling for you, Shea. I'm hoping that you get the call, and we'll see how it goes.
Definitely.
So while you were at Houston though this year, right, and as crazy as it was, you guys you picked up the NWSL Challenge Cup. Um, what was that experience like? And I give mad props to the NWSL and all you ladies for being the first American sports league to come back and pull off a bubble effectively,
Mm-hmm.
right? Obviously, I think there was like one team I think someone was telling me that had some issues, but other than that, it happened. So you won the Challenge Cup. What was that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely different. Something, we could have never predicted and never thought we would have to go through. But, I think the unique thing about our league is that it is smaller than most leagues. We, I think, pride ourselves on continuing to grow this league. And so obviously all the players, I think, were super cautious and super dedicated. And the NWSL with Lisa Beard, becoming our new commissioner, she went above and beyond to make sure that this was the most professional thing that we've ever been able to put on, and got the sponsorship deals, and had that front office do something really, really special that we haven't seen in the past, and that NWSL fans and people that didn't even know that NWSL existed could have ever seen possible. So I thought it was amazing. It created so much exposure. I had people texting me, tweeting everything. I'm watching you
I
on
see you on CBS,
yeah,
the
like
real CBS, not
what's going
CBS Plus.
on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was incredible. And then obviously to win it, if you think about it, our team, gosh, I wish I knew exactly the numbers, but we had so many new players this year.
Uh huh.
And with so many starts and stops, it was like we didn't have any time. I didn't even know what to expect that first game. We come out, score 3 goals. We were, give up 2 in the last couple of minutes
Yeah.
to go with the tie. But we scored 5 goals in the first game, something that Houston's not known for. James had said, I think at the end of those 2 games, they had only had 2 like multi-goal games or something like that all of last season. So
you came out with a bang then this
yeah.
one, yeah.
So we realized like this isn't the same old Dash, which is kind
Yeah.
of one of the taglines they use now, but that this was a new era. And I think that's what you saw in the tournament. We just kept developing, and we didn't have as much depth as we would have liked. Dropped a couple games at the end of the group stage, but at the end of the day, it was all about the playoffs, anyways. And
Yep.
I think once we got there, we knew what we had, and we knew the weapons that we had, and we got better with every game. And then even the fall series games, we're missing Rachel, MVP of the Challenge Cup, and I think you saw a lot of special things that the Dash are going to do in the future. And it was just exciting because I felt like, I was talking to James, I think yesterday, but when you find the right fit for some players, it's just magic. It really
Yep.
is.
Yep.
And so I
Yep.
think in a lot of ways we found that. We, there's still some pieces that we need, but for a lot of players, we found home in Houston, and it's been incredible.
Yeah, so first shout outs to the commish then it seems like are in order for having the NWSL Challenge Cup be what it was. I definitely I'll admit I did not watch as many NWSL games prior to. Now when FCKC was here, I loved going to the matches, but watching it on TV was tough. But when the Challenge Cup came back, that was the first sports that I could watch other than like marble racing. And I'll be honest, I was betting on FIFA games. Like I was really bad. But watching that and then just seeing good soccer, just seeing soccer, right? Not even to say good soccer, just seeing soccer and
Yeah.
watch it grow. Um, it felt great. And I'll be honest, I was cheering for you because I knew your name.
Yeah.
So I
My
was
table.
yeah, I sat at your table. I remember I should have taken a picture. What snuck a picture, darn it. But no, I'm super happy to see that you guys were able to pull that off. And then also you were talking about a new era coming into Houston. You had all these new players, new taglines. Is another tagline going to be Air Groom? Because if you did not know, Shea won the NWSL Goal of the Year for jumping. I think it was like 10 feet off the ground and hitting this header in. It was absolutely stunning. So NWSL Goal of the Year, Houston Dash Newcomer of the Year. This year, just 2020 was a good one for you. It seemed from a playing perspective. What are your goals going into next year? How do you beat this year? What do you do?
Yeah, I think again it was so unexpected and kind of born out of little expectations. And so I think I took a lot from that, with how much pressure I put on myself, and just the way that you can so easily tear yourself down when you're such a competitor at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
So so I think I've grown a lot mentally, and found out what works for me and how I best operate. I think my goals for next year, is kind of some more of those specific things. I want to see myself have a few more assists, and I think I can score a lot of goals in this league by even being
Uh-oh.
in the midfielder. So as a midfielder, so um, I'm excited to work on a few of those things. And then I think we still have a huge chip on our shoulder. For some reason, people don't think that the Challenge Cup is that big of a deal. So we still have something to prove as a Houston Dash, and
Put some
um,
respect. Put some
yeah,
respect on their name, people.
I'm
Shea
ready to get
ain't
after it,
someone to mess with.
draw some stars
There
above
we
the
go.
rest.
There we go. So you kind of talked about it, not putting that pressure on you, and you're a professional, right? So like your life, your profession is the game. Okay. For players that I coach, majority of the people that are playing the game that aren't professionals, right? I feel like there's still that pressure that people put on them. And you're seeing now more than ever a huge emphasis on mental health and making sure that like it's not okay, like saying that, oh man, I didn't get any sleep for the last 3 days studying because, or man, I've been working so hard, I can't even think straight. Like that's not a good sign. So I know we spoke earlier about this, but speaking on mental health, what are some of the things that you think could help youth players? What are things that you've gone through personally, and how have you got through those moments, or are you still going through those times?
Yeah, I think, the mental health talk is still fairly new. I grew up in a household where we didn't really talk about that stuff. I'll say my dad was a football coach, and it was very much a let's suck it up mentality. And so I thought for a very long time, and not, any discredit to my parents, but, I was like, I'm tough. Like I can get through anything.
Yeah.
And, I think you get to an older age and some things you just can't get through. And so I think the big thing is to know that, especially I stress to younger girls now that, we can talk about these things now, and it's happening to a lot of people. Happens to me. I go to therapy. I struggle with mental illness. And so I think, just being able to have those resources, and that's something I'm passionate about, trying to provide some of those resources, and make it known. Because I think sometimes it's like, well, where do I start and where do I go? Because maybe the school counselor is not cutting it,
Right.
just trying to normalize that conversation, and know that a lot of people are going through it. And, as far as the soccer side goes, I think especially as women, we put so much pressure on ourselves. I'm definitely have that perfectionist mentality, or did for a very long time. And I had to learn that I have to leave everything soccer on the soccer field, no matter how it is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I can still study the game and, do what I need to do off the field. But you start to carry a lot of baggage when you're carrying every single moment, every mistake with you. So, I can't stress the importance of the mental game, and just feeling healthy and happy. I mean, if you want to take anything from this year, I've said this in countless interviews. My goals for this year were to be healthy and happy. It wasn't to win a championship. It wasn't to be the MVP of the final or the leading goal scorer of the Houston Dash. I wanted to be happy and healthy, and I wanted to love soccer again. And so I think there's something to say about really focusing on your health, and making sure you're in a good place in order to perform. I'll just say I listened to a podcast, Kelly Holmes. She was a English track star. She also was in the military. Crazy story, by the way. You should check out her journey. But Kelly Holmes.
All right.
It was similar to this conversation. She, was just like, look, I cut myself and I had a lot of mental health issues. And she went on to win 2 gold medals, and, was also in the Army for 10 years. Like, again, crazy, crazy story. But again, yeah, just normalizing that conversation, and knowing that a lot of, athletes, like professionals, go through it as well, so yeah. I'm sure, little girls growing up are doing the same thing, but that if we can focus on, just feeling that overall health, and when you're chasing just kind of that pursuit of happiness rather than that one goal or making it to that one college, you often get there anyways when, you're happy. So
when you're happy, yeah.
Kind of sounds cheesy, but definitely
but
something
it's the truth.
For me.
It's the truth. I've got a quick question. At the end of the year, are you happy and are you healthy?
I am getting healthy, but I am happy. So I think
so. Yeah. We're halfway there.
Yeah.
Halfway there.
Are you ready to take your game to the next level? Trust the process and sign up for No Stress Midwest training today at www.nostressmidwest.com/training. No Stress Midwest primarily offers training for soccer players on the individual, group, and team settings of all ages and skill sets. Our training is customized for the player, and our goal in doing that is to continue to grow the love of the game, build a personal desire to want to develop, and create the chance and choice for the player to play at the next level. We have developed a unique solution here at No Stress Midwest Training, showing our clients that you can have fun while still getting better. By creating a unique training environment customized to the player, we feel that not only are we able to get the most out of the individual by creating a no-stress environment, but we are also teaching them fundamentals that they can carry off the field and apply in their everyday life. Visit our website at www.nostressmidwest.com/training and sign up for your first session today.
But no, one I want to say it's I think it's very brave of you to admit that you have you have mental health issues, and it's something that I think people are afraid to say. And I'm the same way, right? Like when I was growing up, there was like no concussions. One, like you get hit in the head, and it's like if you can get up and walk, you're good. There was no like, oh, I'm so stressed over school and sports and dating and prom and college. It was just like, yeah, everyone's like that. Deal with it. So I think now as a player, that was what I grew up in, but now as a coach, it's different, and I'm having to adjust and be more open and understanding that people have a lot of stuff going on, and we all deal with it differently. And just because I can deal with it doesn't mean you can deal with it, and the next person can deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's so important to stress. I think even too, and this is what I try to tell coaches as well. Like the more that we can provide those resources, and from a young age, I struggled and had this big life event happen, and so I missed out on some of the coping skills and how to balance different things. So instead, I just for survival, I decided to compartmentalize. So I went to soccer, and that's where everything was erased, and that was my outlet. That was kind of my anti-drug. But as you get older, it's kind of all starts to bleed together, especially when it's your job. So I think it's just it's important to check on each other. It's important, I think, for parents to have those open conversations with their kids and know that we all need help, and we all need a little love. Yeah, and I think it's good to be able to talk about it and get it out so that you're not carrying it for years and years and years and have to deal with it later.
Yeah, and I also want to do a quick shout out to one of our podcast guests, Carrie Rocaro. She has a podcast on mental health that she has with her teammate or roommate. I can't remember which one, but someone she's close with. I've listened to 2 episodes, Butterfly Road. Make sure you guys check that out if you can. It's got some great content on it. And I think Carrie and her co-host, they're just funny and open people. And like I saw myself laughing just listening to it. Felt kind of weird because I'm like in the car by myself, but I'm like, they're kind of funny. I like it. Awesome. But yeah, so Shea, is there anything that you want to kind of share with people, or not in things, but talk about with your playing career before we move on to the generic and kind of fast-paced questions?
Gosh, I think there's a lot I'd like to say, but this is cheesy, but I would just say if dream big and don't give it up. I mean, I had a lot of stumbling blocks. I didn't even touch on it in college. I had another foot surgery in college. I had a small knee scope before I even went into my NWSL career. I've cracked ribs in my NWSL career, so I've had a lot of breakup moments in the game, and have used them, I think, just to elevate my career again and again and again. So I always say use every setback as a setup for your comeback, and oftentimes when you hit bottom, like the only way to go is up. And I think that's when we get a little bit hungrier and find out what we're really made of. And so sometimes I invite a little bit of that not failure, but
adversity.
Adversity.
It gets you going. It's what pumps you up, and it's honestly, and when I watched, I'm sure you've seen it, The Last Dance. with Michael Jordan, his documentary.
Yeah.
So I always thought that I was different or weird in a way that I would like make stuff up to piss me off, to get me going. And to see that like he did that stuff and he would make up stories just to get him pissed off before like he goes. And I'm like, man, now granted, I don't play anymore. So I'm like coaching, but like I'll piss myself off before I go to coaching just so I can have this like chip on my shoulder, like, all right, let's get to it. I'm not Mr. Nice Guy anymore.
Yeah. And so I would say, and then my last two things would be on that. I think I probably want to get, and I took it personally, tattooed on my body somewhere because of MJ, because I think that was such a great reminder for me watching that, because those first 2 years I got, kind of deemed as, Shea Groom, the girl that slides in and she's fearless and, is getting all these yellow cards, red cards, whatever. But to be yourself, whatever that is. And I think, again, this year, I, tried to get back to that a little bit, was be unapologetically yourself. And then my final thing will be, for young players, I always say this: pinpoint your non-negotiables. So I probably don't do it every year, but for now they're mostly the same, but they probably changed earlier on. But I usually try to choose 3 to 4 things that when I step on a soccer field, or don't take talent, only take effort, and what are my things that I'm not going to compromise on. Mine are work ethic and attitude, and I can't remember my other one, which isn't good, but again, those 3 things.
It's the end of the season, so yeah.
It's good. It really will change. So it'd probably be take care of yourself. I actually have 5 things written. I should just make those my non-negotiables. But I think it's important to have 3 things, and things that don't take talent, and then maybe 3 things that do, and things that you're good at. And Black always said to me, the things that you're great at, be great at every single day. And so I try to emulate that and really carry that over to my game.
I love it. All right. So before we move to the generic questions, I'm actually pretty excited to say this. And, the podcast is in its 2nd season now, and it's been, all for fun. But last week we had our first person reach out about sponsoring an episode. So we got our first ad that I'm going to say. I'm actually pretty excited about it. And I think who the company is. But I want to just pause and take a quick thank you. Pause and give a quick thank you to our sponsors, AGY Performance Training. If you're a player in the Kansas City area, elite or pre-elite, you've got next level goals, AGY Performance Training should be on your radar. Over a dozen of MLS, NWSL, USL pros trust AGY to get them ready for the grind that is professional soccer. Find them on Instagram at AGY Performance Training. All right, so now we are into the generic questions, Shea. So I've asked some of the girls I coach. I called them little girls. They got pissed, absolutely pissed. They're like 10, absolutely pissed. So
they both are women.
Yeah, I've got my younger ladies that I coach, and they've been submitting questions. I told them I was going to be interviewing some great guests, some professional soccer players, so they were really excited. Some of the questions are great. Some of the questions are really okay, but we're just going to kind of go through it, and we're just going to swag it out. So let's start with the heavy hitter, and this one, I was told it's serious, okay? Do you put cereal in the bowl before the milk or after?
I don't have milk with my cereal.
Oh, man, look at that. Oh, that's a plot twist.
I don't know. I cannot do soggy cereal, y'all. You are crazy.
Not for you.
Dry cereal.
I eat dry cereal as well, and I'm allergic to dairy. So I remember I told someone that, and they were like, I was like, yeah, I don't drink milk. And their response was, well, how do you eat cereal? And I was like, huh, without the milk.
Yeah,
I don't know. In the box, I just kind of take it out and there's no milk in there. It's
I'm
just
with
how it
you. We're on
goes.
the same page.
All right, so no milk. I'm actually more of a fan of that answer than any of them. So that's good. Um, what's your strategy on becoming a professional soccer player?
I would say do the work that I did late earlier.
Okay.
Technical,
One.
technical, technical. One, yes. And then chase the dream, however that is. I think when we talked about my rookie year, I did whatever I could to just get to this level. And I think you have to seek out those opportunities, whether it's a club coach that's going to advocate on your behalf, a college that's going to put you in a good place to become a pro, a trainer. That's going to invest in you in the same way that you're ready to invest in the sport. So invest in yourself, believe in yourself, and don't stop chasing the dream. Whatever you got to do, go to open tryouts. I played with Bethany Balser at Rain. She went to NAI school. No one would have ever said I just went to Colorado with her for national team camp. So if you want to say that anything's possible in this sport, it is.
Yep.
Just ask her. So
I love it. I love it. And I know this might be a little hard for you to answer, but what do you think you would be doing if you weren't playing soccer?
I feel like it's boring. Like I would probably be, I don't know. I think I'd probably be working for a brand like Adidas or something like that. Maybe something like kind of connected to sports, but I studied event management. So
Okay.
I love like planning and like executing things very similar to like soccer
All
in
right.
terms of details and then execute something and things like that. So
So maybe when the soccer career ends, you hang the cleats up. If I need to put together any big events, I
yes,
could maybe give you a call.
I'm here.
All
I'm
right.
ready.
I love it. I love it. Shea Groom party extraordinaire. We'll maybe work on the title.
Okay, deal.
Um, so we've talked about some of the roadblocks that you faced, right? And you've talked about kind of getting through them. Um, what one bit of advice could you give the listeners if they're facing any roadblock, right? And obviously each one's going to be specific, so you can give very specific things, but if you could kind of group it all and umbrella it, what would that advice be, your little rainbow?
Number one, I always say grieve it out. So I whenever something hard happens, I cry it out. You get angry, go through all the emotions, let it settle.
Yep.
And then when you're ready, it's go time, whatever it means. If you're in an injury, you're doing everything that they're going to allow you to do to get back, even if it's toe curls. I remember I used to have to do that for my foot, like scrunching a towel. I did it every single day, 100 times a day. Like,
Yeah.
so when you're ready to just kind of make that leap, you flip the switch and do whatever you can to dig yourself out of it. But definitely feel it all first and get a support system. I'm going to credit all the people that have loved me through so many of my hard times, and you got to lean on those people. Don't try to carry it all yourself.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Um, all right. So one of the girls asked, do you think it's fair that girls don't make as much as the boys playing professional soccer? We know the answer is no, but we know it's a very complicated, I'm not going to say complicated, but there's a lot of facets to that. Um, are you seeing a change in that since especially US soccer women, they made a stand for it. They flipped the jerseys inside out, right? Like, have you seen a change in that? And we talked about the Houston Dynamo and Dash now under the same ownership group. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think, it's fair to say that, that is our goal. And we're not going to waver on the fact that we want it to be equal. Is it more complicated than that? Yeah. We have to have the same amount of viewership, the same amount of sponsorship, draw the same amount of attention. So, but I'm happy with how we've been able to progress. I mean, this is the longest standing league now.
Yep.
We just saw the Challenge Cup where the sponsorships are buying in. I just did a NWSL summit where I talked to all the sponsors and they were so excited. for the product that we have, and NWSL players are ready to promote and kind of be a part of that, growth. And so, yeah, do I want to be paid more? Do I think I'll probably ever be a part of that? I think that'll be a little bit later. So, I'm fighting for my daughter and the little girls that are playing now to be able to get paid a lot. But just to see the evolution of it, people forget that the MLS was not so long ago in a very similar boat. I grew up watching sporting in T-Bone Stadium on a baseball field. So they didn't just start out playing in these multi-million-dollar stadiums, and I think we've done a heck of a job, and we're going to keep fighting. So and I'm so proud of the national team and everything that they've done, but I'm definitely a big advocate for the NWSL as well, and we provide a home for them to play. So I think just as much as they're fighting for the women's national team, I think we got to continue the fight here as well, the ground level.
No, I mean, in the MLS, I can remember watching it, like when I don't know what year, but when Landon Donovan came to the MLS, because I was in San Jose, I remember all that hype, and I had a shirt with the original like MLS franchises, like the Dallas Burn, no longer there. They're FC Dallas. The Metro Stars are now the Red Bulls. So those teams have come in and they've left the Miami Fusion, right? Miami just got a team last year, 2 years ago with David Beckham, and they've been gone for a while. The Mutiny, Tampa Bay Mutiny, like so. And I think it's, yes, you want to get paid more. Everybody wants to get paid more. This isn't a men or women. You ask anyone, do they want to get paid more? They're going to say yes. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. But I am happy to hear though that you're comfortable and you're happy with where things are, but more importantly that you're fighting for that next generation and the generation after and after and after. Yeah. So it continues to get there. They're all on the same page, and then who knows what happens.
Yeah, I think it's also exciting. I mean, look at what Angel City's done with over 30 female owners, and using their platforms and their financial stability to create something special. And then I don't know, I have seen tweets floating around by Patrick Mahomes' misses that they want to bring a team to Kansas City. But again, I think soccer is the world sport. People are excited about it, and I think the NWSL is a unique and intimate place to be able to have a team that is special in a way that might not be as special in other leagues. So definitely think you'll see a lot of new teams in the next coming years and a lot of strong ownership groups ready to invest.
That's my goal. Big picture, when it's all said and done for me, I'd love nothing more than the MLS and NWSL to have the same teams. You have Sporting KC, men's, women's. You have every club, right? And you change the names however you want to do it, but NWSL and MLS, a professional men and women's team in the same club. I think that's the future. That's how it's starting to grow now in England. You're seeing now, granted, I love Megan Rapinoe's statement on, like Manchester United, it's great they have a women's one now, but they've been around for 100 and something years, or, however long they've been around. So regardless, I think you are starting to see those steps, but it's Man United. It's not it's Man United. You have a men's side and a women's side. Man City, Arsenal, West Ham, Chelsea, right? They're all together. So I hope we get there. We'll see. All right. So how many days a week do you say you practice when you're in season versus how many days a week do you practice when you're not in season?
We train every day during season. Occasional off day. This year was obviously different, so maybe one off day a week, but even then you're probably coming in and doing something. So definitely a full-time gig. And then in the off season, a lot of girls will hit it really hard. I have learned in my old age, as you get older, you learn what your body needs. So anytime soccer's available, I'm playing soccer, but lifting a little bit more and getting out south when I'm back in Kansas City just to sharpen up on some things. But, I'll probably do something every day. But, if I'm feeling a little tired, I definitely take a day off and make sure my body's primed for next season. The framework of next season looks different. It's going to be a longer season. We have a 10-week preseason, another bubble. So not trying to come in at peak fitness, if you know what I'm saying. So we're going to have plenty of time for that. So
yeah. All right. Well, Shea, I wanna thank you so much for being a guest on here. I talked earlier about one of my new favorite things is hearing the draft day stories, but still my favorite is the Dream Five-a-sides. So I hope you've thought about it. I'm really excited to see it. Just know that I do judge people on their dreams.
You're gonna judge me hard, but
okay, all right.
Well, so it's okay.
Here we go. So Shea, let's hear it. Let's start with the people that you've played with, right? You've shared the field with.
Yeah. Again, it's tough. Five-a-side, you got to think strategically, but also I'm not defensive minded, so we're just going to start with that. But I'm going to pick Becky Sauerbrunn because she has, been a center back for me, was 3 years for Kansas City. And she is nasty when it comes on the field. So
that's that's the second time she's been mentioned on someone's team. So,
all right. I'm also going to pick my childhood hero and, who became my future teammate and friend, Lauren Holiday. And then, I'm going to go a solid dash. I don't even know what you call this trio.
Okay.
Me, Christy, and Rachel, just because I think that it's just something you can't teach. And I'll take any of these people that I've said as competitors, no doubt, want to win everything. So
okay. So Christy, what's her last name?
Mewis.
Oh, Christy Mewis. Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. And then
Rachel Daly.
Right, and then Rachel
Daly.
Now, you did mention that you're very offensive minded. So
I can pick a goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, it's maybe you throw Becky as a sweeper keeper, and
Okay, well, that I guess I didn't. I thought it was five-a-side with the goalkeeper.
With the goal. Okay, yeah, no, sorry. So just the five.
I gotta cut someone now.
Yeah, man, and now it's tough because you put their name out there.
TV. No.
Do you remove yourself and become the manager?
Honestly, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to do that. I can't cut someone on live like this. Okay. I'll be the manager. I'm a really great hype woman and I believe in my team. And then I'm gonna another dash. I'm gonna pick Jane Campbell. Come to one of our trainings because she has robbed me at least 30 goals in 5 seconds.
So Shea, you've taken the manager role for the first team. Now that's new. Normally people will become the manager for this next team, but you're a special one. You're a special.
I mean, I'm gutted. I've not made the roster now, but what can you do?
Well, you can't. I mean, you can only look at yourself and ask, what could I have done more? Could I have done more?
I didn't read the fine print, so. Okay, actually, I'm sorry. I might have to just X Cheney. She's pregnant, or Lauren Holiday. She's pregnant right now, so.
Oh man, life's tough. Comes at you fast.
Okay.
All right, next team.
I'm gonna cut someone else. Okay, I am gonna go with De Bruyne.
Hey, KDB's he's just a universal favorite.
I know. I have to put another defender because now it's getting serious. I'm gonna go unpopular maybe, but Sergio Ramos.
Oh, that's not unpopular at all, man. That's not unpopular at all.
I don't know. I feel like some people hate him or love him.
You gotta respect it though. Red cards, goals, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what you're gonna get.
Man, I was really excited about my team because now I have an extra. Maybe I'll just be the manager of this team because I was.
You could do that as well.
But I also want 2 women on my team, so.
Okay. Oh boy. All right,
Okay, so Sala can be the manager. And then me, I've actually really always wanted to play with Tobin Heath, so
okay.
I would definitely put her on my team. And then I actually had Schmeichel in goal.
Schmeichel. I love saying his name. Schmeichel.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
I love it. Schmeichel's the G key. All right. Well, that is, I'm not going to judge you off that. That's okay. Solid. That's solid.
You're not totally disappointed?
No, not at all. I can sleep at night. I can sleep tonight. So
you have a little respect. All right.
So that's good. That's good. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, Shea, I want to thank you again so much for being on here. I'll be honest, another kind of not as embarrassing story. But this summer I'm training 2 girls that are in college now. I'll give them a little shout outs. Amanda Ham, she's at UMKC. Another girl, Izzy Foltz at UCM. So I'm training them this summer, and I'm like, hey, this idea came to do the all women's guest list, and you were the first person that Izzy said, and she was like, hey, I can get whoever. I'll find a way to get in contact with her. I know someone that knows her. And I'm like, all right, I was like, you do that. But then, like I said, we also know the Kriegers with Lori. She was the chaplain right for FCKC. Yeah. So you met little Mallory. How was Mallory? Was she around practices?
Oh yeah. And they're like I've lived with them, so they're family now.
So you're part of them. You're part of the family
as well.
Okay. Yeah, shout outs. So I didn't get to coach Mallory, but she's she's playing now. They had their season. Her mom shares everything about it, and I love every single Facebook post. So yeah. So that kind of wraps us up. Shea, you've given some great advice, some filled us in on some things that I didn't know about. And is there any final words, any final thing that you want to leave the listeners with before it's back to life?
Keep paving the way for women's soccer. If you're not a woman, watch women's soccer. If you are a woman, still watch women's soccer. That's something not a New Year's resolution. I mean, I made a New Year's resolution and halfway through 2020 because it's 2020. So yeah, to watch women's soccer. So I'm watching college soccer. I watch some NAIA soccer. I mean, it's all about supporting each other. So let's keep growing this game and keep supporting each other, and everybody take care of themselves. Be happy and healthy.
Be happy, be healthy. I love it. Everyone, thank you for listening. This is the No Stress Midwest podcast. My name is Brian Turner. We've got Shea Groom. We have our first ad sponsor of the AGY. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.